So I'm thinking a lot, and some things are crossing my mind, like the creation of leather and the tanning process involved in making leather products. And another thing that crosses my mind is how we make plastics and metal. And what I'm amazed by is how humanity has learned these processes and techniques and methods to create these products and materials that are so important in life. Our leather, our metals, our plastic items, all of these things are so important in life and used in so many different ways. And I'm just so amazed that we learned to make these products. I mean, how did we ever conceive of metal or plastic or leather? How did we learn the complex processes involved in creating these products? These incredibly useful products that are essential in the way we live our life now. So today I have been looking into the creation of leather, and I'm just so totally stunned by how we have taken animal hides and treated them in so many different ways, different chemicals and techniques and whatever, to create leather. I don't know how we ever even conceived of leather. How did we imagine the finished product from the animal hide? There's no logical step to thinking that cowhide will become leather. I don't understand the concept how we imagined it would be possible to make leather from cowhide or pig hide. I think there's other animals as well we use. So as I said, I've been looking into the process of tanning, creation of leather from cowhide and whatever, and I just can't understand how humanity has managed to develop these techniques, and it amazes me how creative and how imaginative mankind has always been. And it makes me wonder about my own contribution to humanity. And I'm trying not to be disappointed with how I've performed in the world. Because I have done stuff, I think, and I have improved people's lives and I've impacted people's lives in a positive way and made a difference. And who knows how my efforts have helped people in life. I've previously, for example, taught Taekwondo, and I was a Taekwondo instructor for general people of all ages, and also specifically I taught a class called Tiny Taekwondo, which I thought was a cool name, and that concentrated on younger children. I think something like 4 to 6 or something. So young children specific class, and I taught more basic techniques and things that they could learn at that age safely. And when I think now, I'm so proud of my efforts. I'm so glad to know that I have impacted on people's lives in a positive way. And teaching Taekwondo, for example, I've taught skills that would stay with the people for the rest of their lives. They'll be better able to defend themselves, they'll be more confident and hopefully happier in love as a result. So I'm very proud of my impact on the world. And I've also run computing businesses where I did computer support and installation and training and whatever. And again, I have helped people in life a great deal. And I'm very proud, very happy to know I have impacted the world in a positive way and made a difference. And I compare my contribution to the world to people who produce leather, to people who produce plastic and metal, and create these items from strange materials. I mean, who could possibly conceive of creating leather from cowhide? I can't see the logic in understanding that it would be possible. The imagination of all of these men to create these products, these finished products, like plastic and metal, they all come from powders and all sorts of strange sources. I mean, how do you make metal, for example? I haven't looked into that yet. But there must be all kinds of chemicals and raw products, probably powders and whatever. And then processes combine these powders, whatever, into plastic. I think plastic comes from oil. Metal, I have no idea where that comes from. All kinds of powders or whatever are chemically treated, whatever, and heated up, and somehow it becomes metal. And all of it just defies imagination, and it is just incredible how we create the finished items from such strange sources. Metal and plastic comes from oil, I think. And so somehow oil is treated, heated, whatever, to create plastic from the oil. It's just weird how we ever conceived these possibilities. And I don't understand how we ever imagined it would be possible to create metal, plastic, or leather. It's just insane and wondrous how humanity has learned these techniques and how we ever knew it would be possible to create the finished products. And we use these finished products so commonly in life now, on metal and plastic and leather. And it's just an automatic thing that we make use of. But thinking of where they come from is really amazing and stunning, basically, in how we managed to create these things. And I am so impressed at the imagination and creativity within mankind. It is truly incredible, and I'm wondering what else we might create in time as we get things together and imagine possibilities. Who knows what might be possible in time? Like computing, for example, we've created computers from plastic and metal, and I just don't understand how it's possible to get a computer from metal and plastic and whatever. It doesn't make sense how you imagined it would be possible. There's so many things that humanity does which we use every day. We switch on the lights, we turn on the radiators, we sit down in a chair and a roller chair, we lie down in bed, we cover ourselves with our duvets. All of these things are incredibly imaginative, incredibly difficult to create, and they need all kinds of techniques to make it possible. And paving stones and tarmac that we drive on and rubber, all of it is absolutely amazing, and yet we use these items every day without thought. And glass, for example, again, how do we ever conceive of glass? How do we ever know it would be possible to create glass, and I think it's made from sand and whatever? It's just so amazing how we imagine the finished product from where they came from. And then we made bricks and whatever. How do you make a brick? And you get clay together possibly, and then you end up with a finished brick, and then you can use the bricks to make houses. So what completely befuddles me is how we imagine the finished product from the source materials. How did we imagine plastic would be possible to create? How did we know that leather could be made from animal skin? How did we know we can make bricks which could then be used to make houses? It's how we got from A to B that I really don't understand. And then we actually get from A to Z somehow with our thinking and our doing. We do stuff and then realize other possibilities. And basically, humanity is stunning in its ability to conceive of how the future might be, how we might create things from other things. And I just can't understand how we get from A to Z so consistently and so magically, it seems. I mean, as I said, how we make plastic just doesn't make sense. And metal comes from some kind of powders, I think. And somehow, with all kinds of treatment, we end up with metal at the end of it. It's absolutely stunning and basically impossible to understand how we ever conceived it would be possible to do these things. And I'm wondering what could happen next that we haven't conceived of yet, that we will create from where we are now. Because one thing leads to another. And so what's going to happen next? That some man is going to think of a way of doing something with the starting position right now. They'll look at the finished item like metal, and they'll see how if we process metal in a certain way, we could end up with some other product which does something else. And then that came from the metal, and metal came from some powders that we get from the ground somewhere and treated in some way. It's just amazing how we learn processing techniques and methods and do so many creative things with basic things and then end up with massively useful things like glass and leather and bricks and computers for example, and houses and cars and rockets and satellites. We have created incredibly complex machines which actually orbit the Earth at hundreds of miles up into the sky. It is so amazing how humanity gets from A to B and then to Z with the way we think and develop and imagine and create. It is so completely stunning and absolutely amazing. And I'm wondering what will happen next, because it seems to be endless development, endless invention, and I'm trying to conceive of what might happen next. It's so amazing.